Reporting from Sauthemptona International Airport today, we are at the PRG Winter Air Festival. My name is Diamond. We'll watch from below as these acts take place, ranging from small stunt planes to large formation flying acts, and the groups performing today are the following: the RAF Typhoon Display Team, Moss's Red Arrows, Kyle Kyler Aerobatics, Aerial Refuelling Demo Team, CF-18 Demo Team, F-16 Viper Demo Team, and finally, the F-22 Demo Team. Starting off, we have the RAF Typhoon Demonstration Team flying their Eurofighter Typhoon. The Eurofighter pilot today is Eddie. He is the Air Chief Marshal of the PTFS RAF. That was the Eurofighter Typhoon of RAF flown by Eddie. We'll be able to join him up for an interview on the ground shortly. All right, and here is Eddie. Hello. My name is Diamond, and I'd like to interview you for just a minute here. Your display was really impressive. How was it up there?
So yeah, hi, and thanks very much for letting me speak. In terms of the display, it's quite a interesting display at PRG, because obviously it was at Sauthemptona. The usual displays are there on much flatter ground, but of course there were a bit more terrain to work with, some mountains and stuff. So in terms of the hard deck of the air show, for one thing, that's one thing that was very noticeable. Um, it was a lot higher to avoid those mountains and any scenery that we had there. But luckily, it was quite a nice display because there were plenty of people watching, quite a nice atmosphere. And I got to the full display as well, including the signature landing, which I always like doing. It's probably one of my favourite parts of the display.
Yeah, the display was really nice, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree upon that. Also, yeah, the terrain, it does add whenever you see the plane go behind a mountain and it's like building suspense, waiting to see that plane reappear. Um, all right, so we can start out with the questions. First thing, what was it like actually flying the Typhoon?
So, of course, the Typhoon, it's a great jet to fly with its fly-by-wire system. Obviously, you get to some pretty incredible speeds, and in terms of display, it's also a great jet to fly. It's very responsive. You can do a lot of things with it, and I particularly like the amount of Gs you can sustain on it because obviously some of the turns that you saw during the display, you can pull up to 9 Gs during it. So you can really get that airframe going and kind of make the most of it. He carries a lot of speed as well, and I'll tell you what, when you're going for dives, it picks up quite fast. Because when I'm doing one of the other manoeuvres, the high alpha manoeuvre, and I stick the reheat on, I'm going from about 120 mile an hour to nearly 500 mile an hour in about the space of 10-15 seconds.
Yeah, that's very impressive. All those turns and all the Gs you're able to pull, it just adds a ton to the actual experience. Um, how is the display made and who picks that? Like the routine.
Yeah, no. So about that, it's quite a complicated procedure actually. Because obviously I'm the main co-owner now of the PTFS RF, but I was actually selected before I became so I was a lot lower down. So obviously I started getting up to the ranks, and when I reached the rank of flight lieutenant in 29 Squadron in the RF, I was selected to be the display pilot. Obviously each pilot gets to pick their own display sequence from a set of pre-tested maneuvers and stuff, which are kind of in regulations to the CAA and things like that. But in terms of getting this air show properly displayed and organised on PTFS, we worked with the ICAS Association, the International Council of Air Shows, and we got our display sorted with that, kept it in a display box, and followed routine measures. And we just have a waiver for hard decks to reach. In terms of the practicing and stuff, You do many displays, some at one like near the coast of Renji. That's where we practiced originally for our displays at about 5,000 feet, and then eventually each time we lower it to about 1,500, 500, and eventually we can get down to our final display altitude of about 100 feet.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Getting to pick your own stuff and everything. It must have taken a lot of practice for that, especially like you said earlier with the terrain and everything. What do you think would be your favorite part of that display?
So I have to admit, out of all the things, it would either be two parts of the display. I quite particularly like the, like I said earlier, the high alpha maneuver, the slow pass over the crowd, because constantly I'm trying to focus on flying the jet. Whereas when I'm doing that, I can get so slow enough that for the first time, I can actually look out to the side of the jet and see the crowd on the ground and wave to them, etc. It's a quite nice doing that. And also, I'd say the final exit maneuver, where I go and into my climb to my exit, and then finish with those three aileron rolls up into the sky. It's also a nice highlight of the display.
Yeah, a lot of those maneuvers were pretty nice. A few of them, with the slow pass over the crowd and everything, that was also really cool. Um, so you mentioned that you were selected to be the display pilot. How does that selection process work?
Yeah, so basically it works as because I began in the RF, like I said, in 29 Squadron, and eventually I got moved on to the frontline fighter squadron of 3rd Squadron, and eventually I went back to 29 Squadron as an instructor for the RAF, and basically gets picked upon by people, and it gets narrowed down to 4 people, and it works out flying. You have to copy last year's previous displays and stuff, and whoever can kind of perform the display kind of the best out of those people, you'd get eventually picked out for the role. You just had lots of questions asked as well by people higher up, and eventually, like I said, get chosen for the display pilot.
Oh, that's very cool. So it's like a rank system, all of that.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Um, so the Typhoon during the performance, it's a very nice plane. However, if it wasn't a Typhoon, what would you want to fly?
Well, it's a good question, that one. In terms of not the Typhoon, I've always had quite a love for the Avro Vulcan plane, another British bomber, very famous. I don't know if it's just the incredible livery that it's got with the camos, the howl of the engines, or just the sheer power that it's got, to throw the jet around. But it's always an aircraft I've liked, which unfortunately I'm not going to be able to fly. But it was definitely a nice one to see.
Yeah, the Vulcan, that's a very nice plane. I'm personally a big fan of it. The engines and the livery, like you said, it's all pretty nice. With the Typhoon, however, a lot of those maneuvers, it must have taken a long time to practice and learn those. How long did that take?
So, in terms of the practice, there's actually a full kind of routine that you have to follow. So, obviously, we have a full display, which includes everything from the takeoff to the landing. The limited display, which is just kind of a sequence where you'll see just you go from air to where you don't actually stay at an airport. And then you also have the flat display, which we use for some air shows. People they managed to time it right so that the weather's not so nice. It's very inclement. So on my first pass, when I check that first 2 rolls and into the overbank, I go to about 3,000 feet and just check if the cloud's too high. Then I can choose if I'm doing the flat display. In terms of practicing for that, it works in quite a long sequence, and you start off by doing 10 displays at about 5,000 feet near a Renji along the coastline. That's a good landmark to do it at about 5,000 feet. Then you do another 10 at 1,500 feet, about 6 full displays, 2 limited and 2 flat. And then the second to last is doing 2 500 feet displays in the full. And then to finish off, you do 15 100 feet displays, um, and then 11 full, 2 limited, and then 1 flat display to finish off before you get your test and you're certified by the ICAS Association.
Yeah, all of that, it must have taken a really long time and a lot of dedication to do all that because it clearly showed in the air show because of how great the maneuvers were and everything. Um, What have you done outside being the display pilot for the PTFS RAF?
Yeah, no. So obviously, I did touch up on that a bit earlier, but in terms of the other stuff that I've done, obviously spending a long time in the Third Squadron as a fighter. There, we were on the Irish Quick Reaction Alert duty, and we can be up and in the air to escort a plane at 40,000 feet in the sky in the space of about 5 minutes. With that 2-to-1 thrust to weight ratio from the Typhoon, getting into the sky and protecting the airspace of the UK. That's probably a main highlight of doing that, and also just keeping a general general interest and flying aspect on PTFS.
Nice. Yeah, flying around those planes all the time must be pretty nice to be up there. And flying, planning all of this stuff, it could take more than one person. Do you have any involvement with the rest of the team with regards to displaying?
So yeah, that's a nice one to include because obviously while it is a solar display, of course the thing that people really don't see is the amount of work that goes into producing something like this with all the other people that are involved. I have a great team of engineers who managed to keep the me going and during the flight um, for first ES squadron from there, managed by a great guy called Cosmo. Um, and in addition to that, we've got a public relations team who will always be there at the air shows answering people's questions and advertising it and just being great with regards to that. In addition, we also have the people who organise the team, and without them, all the air shows I go to pretty much wouldn't be possible. So, in terms of 2024, we've got a huge lineup of air shows going, but they've all been planned out and organised by them. So it's great with all the other work. That without that, it just wouldn't be possible to do what I'm doing. So, I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, doing all these air shows, planning it out, I'm excited to see the future performances in 2024, like you mentioned. It's all just a big team effort, which is really nice to see people come together and put on stuff like this for the public to enjoy, everybody to enjoy. Yeah, it's just really nice to see all that.
And it was just a very nice thing to do. It's not often you get to perform air shows in the winter, so it definitely made a change. But it's one I won't forget. So yeah, thanks very much. Appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. Next up would be the Red Arrows, but unfortunately we weren't able to record the Red Arrows due to technical difficulties. Instead, we skipped to the Kyle Kyler Aerobatics group performing in the Extra 300. As well as the PRG Summer Air Festival, Kyle Kyler will be performing again here for the Winter Air Festival. Aerobatics started in 2020. They fly the extra 300s. The pull up to 9 positive and 4 negative Gs during the performance. Kyle Kyler Aerobatics has attended more than 50 shows throughout the years. Now we wait as the aerial refueling demo team arrive from Greater Rockford. They'll be flying the F-35 and the Boeing 767. Excellent performance there from the aerial refueling demo team. Now we will have the CF-18 demo team flying their F-18. And that there, with the awesome sonic boom that we just saw, was the CF-18 demonstration team. Performing next is the F-16 Viper demo team, and after that, the F-22 demo team. Ending off today's PRG Winter Air Festival is the F-22 demo team with their performance. Thank you for watching FAA TV News' perspective on the Air Festival, and we will see you next time.